Hi, my name is Elizabeth Chauncey. I am 21 years old and I'm going on the World Race. I'm from the Tampa Bay area and I just graduated from the University of Florida. I decided to go on the World Race at the end of 2015. I had originally heard about it at the beginning of 2015 and didn't even consider it for a minute because it wasn't in my plans. But I think that over this past year, God has taught me in a really personal way that it's not my plans that matter and that are going to come to fruition. It's His plans. On August 10th, 2015, my life was completely changed. I was in an accident. I spent a little less than 2 weeks in Orlando Regional. I had pretty much all of the flesh ripped off of the front of my shin and the front of my leg from my upper thigh to my big toe. I also had puncture wounds in my foot. To undergo extensive burn debridement, skin grafting surgery, and I had sharp cartilage put in my foot where a lot of the tissue was missing. But miraculously, I did not break any bones. When I got home, I was sitting on my couch for 6 weeks, unable to move my foot even a little bit. I wasn't allowed to move my leg at all either. I couldn't do things for myself and get up and get things, but I also was having a really hard time communicating with my mom, saying what I needed. And it brought me to a place of just anger at first, and I was crying out to God, why? God was definitely bringing me to a place of absolute dependence because I really didn't have any other choice. Realizing that a lot of the plans that I had were out of reach at that point. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back to school. I didn't know if I was going to be able to graduate on time, things like that. Soon after, one of my friends texted me and told me to read Psalms 34, which I've read a million times before, but 1 or 2 verses really stood out to me that I had never even noticed before. It's verses 19 and 20, and they read, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. He protects all of his bones, not one of them will be broken." And that, I just kind of had a God moment, and I realized that when God, when that verse was written so many years ago, I think God kind of had me in mind when He was writing it. Probably a lot of other people too, but He thought, wow, this is going to really impact Elizabeth in a big way one day. And I can't really explain it well, but I felt just an immense feeling of peace over me and just joy. And I came to the realization that, it says in Psalms 139 that God has every single one of our days ordained for us. So I realized that God knew that this was going to happen and it was in His plans, and He's going to work it all together for good because He loves me, and I just need to trust in Him. And this may seem like such a tragedy right now, but He's going to use it in such awesome ways. The World Race is an 11-month mission trip to 11 different countries. I will possibly be ministering to orphans in Africa, to indigenous tribes in South America, befriending sex trafficking victims in Southeast Asia, preaching in churches with a translator, and praying over the sick for their healing. So really each day could be a completely different ministry. In 1 Corinthians 9 it says, "For when I preach the gospel, I cannot boast, since I am compelled to preach. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel." I think that's exactly sums up how I feel about the World Race. I feel compelled and I feel called to do it. For the 11 months, I will be living out of a backpack and sleeping in a tent for most of the time, so it'll definitely be an interesting experience since I've never even been camping before, and this is my first time even pitching a tent, so it's definitely going to be a God experience for me. And I'll be leaving for my trip in October of 2016. To make this dream a reality, I need your support. I have to raise almost $17,000 to be able to go. So if you feel called to give to me, then you can either give on my blog, or you can send a check to Adventures in Missions. I additionally need your support in prayer and for you to share my story if you feel compelled to. So thank you so much for watching.